Imagine getting paid just for sharing your thoughts on products and services you use every day. With Survey Junkie, it's that simple. Click on the link in the video description to discover how you can start earning today by taking surveys.
Most of us would brush off the common cold, a tummy bug or a cold sore as just another run-of-the-mill ailment. But experts have urged parents to be aware that minor illnesses like the common cold can have catastrophic consequences for newborns, and they might need to take action. For example, some viral infections can cause young children to develop potentially serious complications like pneumonia. However, these minor conditions can be very hard to spot as they present in such a general way, warns Dr. Muriel Messo, consultant pediatrician and endocrinologist at the Portland Hospital, part of HCA Healthcare UK in London. Here, Dr. Messo reveals the routine ailments no parent should ignore, as well as what to do if you spot them. For adults, a cold sore, caused by the herpes simplex virus, is not only common but can also spontaneously resolve, meaning it disappears on its own, or can be treated by over-the-counter antiviral creams. However, in babies that are just weeks old, it could have far graver consequences. Babies are more vulnerable due to their immature immune system. So, infections that may cause minor or less severe illnesses in older children can lead to more severe presentations in babies, Dr. Messo told Mail Online. For example, the herpes virus won't necessarily just give a baby a cold sore, Dr. Messo she warns. If somebody with a cold sore becomes in contact with a baby, then they can get a more serious herpes simplex virus infection. It can spread and become more invasive, she said. In fact, babies can end up needing serious medical attention if they come into contact with the virus. Dr. Messo said, if a baby goes on to develop a blistery-type rash, especially if they have been in contact with somebody with a cold sore, seek medical attention. They may need antiviral treatment, especially if they are very young. If the baby is under 3 months old, they would need to go to AE if they are unwell. And for this reason, the pediatrician stresses that prevention is definitely better than a cure. If someone has a cold sore, they need to avoid contact with the baby and make sure they are washing their hands, she said. Even the classic common cold symptoms of a sniffle, cough or a temperature could be dangerous for newborns, Dr. Messo warns. While adults can simply power through the sniffle, cough or a temperature such an infection brings, babies can be hit much harder because they have an underdeveloped immune system. When babies do develop more serious infections as a result of a virus, they may present very nonspecifically, Dr. Messo says. Signs of a serious infection include being unusually drowsy, faster breathing, a fever, and should never be ignored, Dr. Messo says. Babies sleep a lot in the first few weeks of life anyway because they need it, but they need to be alert enough to be able to feed. So, if you have a baby who is really drowsy, it could be a common cold virus, Dr. Messo said. A baby that is under 3 months that has fast breathing, increased efforts in breathing, feels warm or has a fever, should go to AE because all of these can be the early signs of an infection, she added. Ear infections are very common in toddlers and older children, and they usually get better on their own within 3 days. But signs such as a fever can be very hard to spot in babies, and can be a sign of something more serious, like meningitis. Babies with an ear infection might rub or pull their ears, not react to some sounds, be restless or irritable and be put off their food, according to the NHS. A newborn might also have a temperature if they have an ear infection, warns Dr. Messo. If it is just an ear infection, visiting your GP is advised, but if your baby has other worrying symptoms, you should take them to AE. Dr. Messo said, it is more about the severity of the presentation. So your baby is more likely to present very generally as being unwell. If they are difficult to wake, have fast breathing, feel hot, and they are under 3 months, then they need to go to AE. But if they are older, 6 months and above, if they are still feeding, but have a temperature, then you can go to your GP for a review. In most cases, chickenpox is mild disease in children and not a cause for concern, but there is a risk of serious complications developing in young babies. Dehydration, inflammation of the brain and of